Is the game abandoned? Is there a plan for the end goal, or is the game abandoned? What is the current state of Digital Circus as a game in the universe? We know the company that made the game, CNA, but their current status is not so great. It's clear that they were experimenting with something because of the very premise of the show, either how to physically transport people into virtual reality or some SOMA-style experiments. But we don't know what the ultimate goal of these experiments was, and judging by the aesthetics of the 90s game and how everything in Circus is slowly but surely falling apart, it seems that the game was abandoned decades ago. This is consistent with the fact that Kinger has been there longer than anyone else, 40 years, assuming he was one of the first subjects of the project. On the other hand, Remember had to find the game first, which implies that it is still somehow in circulation, despite its poor condition. What happened? Feel free to share your theories with me. Judging by the office complex, it seems that CNA left it, leaving the game behind. The closest reference to this situation is probably Petscop. The company went bankrupt, was disbanded. This remained undefined, but the game still exists. After I rewatched several times and saw that some people point out different things about different actors, I'm starting to believe that, similar to how it's claimed in film theory, that Remember might have been an employee of CNA, I think it's likely that Kinger was too, specifically as a lead game developer. I don't want to over-explain, so I'll highlight reasons for discussion. Kinger is the oldest resident of the amazing Digital Circus. As a lead developer, Kinger was the one who was first to participate in the game itself and its testing. Perhaps some deep subconscious understanding of this keeps him from abstracting. Kinger is an expert on the digital world, despite being played out as a one-off joke. Kinger is very insightful in how everything works in the game, as he understands perfectly how food works in the digital world. Kinger is the chess piece of the king. I know it's not very implausible when someone in a leadership position has an avatar that represents this. Kinger could have made other games. One of the references made in the series is that Kinger asks Zubul if there was a game show inside Queen Gloinka. This is a reference to one of Gooseworks' previous animations, Little Runmo, in which the main character is a sentient game character trying to get an extra life. In one of the scenes, the enemy swallows Runmo, and in his stomach, they show him a game show called Gastral Giveaway, where he has a chance to win an extra life. It's quite possible that Kinger could have made this reference because he made the game Little Runmo, and this idea was buried in his subconscious. The CNA theory I was thinking about, that if Kane wasn't always the only NPC, and Abel was also in the game, but abstracted. If we think about the fact that Abel wants to get into the real world, but can't do it because he's an AI, we don't see a door for him, but it would be logical if the company was actually called Cain and Abel. This could potentially explain why Cain doesn't want people to go through the exit, especially when it's not finished and glitchy. Cain as an AI probably became much more unstable after losing Abel, who could have maintained stability. Cain was probably worse than Abel in helping others, especially since being an AI tied to the game. If he could feel emotions, he probably feared being left alone. Abel could have envied that everyone but him can leave, wanting to achieve an unattainable goal for him. This would add even more meaning and foreshadowing to Regatta's line. If the characters overcome their own issues with themselves, they might be able to use their strengths to their advantage. Although this is just a theory, not some direct proof or something straightforward. The frame with the Last Supper of Jesus can have many meanings, especially for those who could potentially sabotage her future efforts and betray her. The Last Supper frame also hints that she might make a sacrifice for others. For example, stay with Cain to help him and not let him be alone. Something tells me that the computer in the exit part may hint at editing the game within the game, showing that the exit doesn't quite reach the real computer screen and can actually be quite unstable as the door keeps appearing and disappearing randomly. Kinger knows about the game, being there longer than anyone else, despite his fickle memory. Remember can easily distract, Regatta can take damage that others may not withstand. Jax is fast, so he could easily pass messages if he wanted to. Gangle could be an extra pair of eyes, able to suspend items. Zubul can go where others can't because they can be disassembled and bought back again. And the company Cain and Abel put them in the simulation either forcibly, or maybe they think it's cool, to enter it, not knowing that it can erase their memories. Kinger at some point explains that it's a digital space and that they can't eat. When Jax talked to him saying, "What makes you an expert?" Kinger said, "I don't know. My theory is that Regatha is a manager, Kinger is a programmer, Remember is a salesperson. That's why she's last. Jax is a scriptwriter. I have a feeling that he knows more than others. Zubul is an artist. When Remember goes through the utility rooms, there are other computers that are turned on. The rest, they turn her off. But at the end of the episode, it becomes her computer desk. Turned on. We see the logos C and A, Cain and Abel. Abel could have been the owner of the company, so they named the AI Cain. In the beginning of everything, Cain said, "The only thing I can't control is your mind." First, this helps to understand why he can't fix the theses, and his only option is to send them to the basement of the dark ocean or something like that, because they've already gone mad, and Cain can't persuade them not to go mad. Second, if it wasn't obvious, someone created a circus with certain rules, for example, that no one can remember their names, and then created Cain to build something for them. I'm joking about him being lazy. Probably, it was the company C&A that we saw. Also, we don't know if anyone remembers their past life. They only know that they had a past life, but if they can't remember their name, maybe they forget other things too. Why was it necessary to recreate the office of the company that brought them into this digital world? I don't think they wanted people to remember who brought them here. There was a headset. Where would it lead you? Maybe it just doesn't work. This universe has moved forward in a strange way. Why do they have such advanced virtual reality technologies when the introduction to the show game was in the style of old game consoles and the computers in the office were really old? Especially considering that Kinger probably was here for several years. The technology would have been even older. And finally, if you decipher Wingdings by the number in the ad, the full phone number will be 1-800-402-68. Yes, and should be there.